Dude, I've been strong into that. You're talking a good time period for me.
Yeah.
The whole way out here, I was listening to that book again. First off,
What's the book?
the book is, oh yeah, a lot of people were asking. It's called War on the Run. It's about Robert Rogers. And, but it's also about like just life pre-revolution in America and like Native Americans and shit. And I have been harsh on the natives the last couple episodes. That's what happens when you report on something before you finish a book.
True.
Like I read one chapter that was just like, this is what the Indians used to do. And then the next chapter was like, they did have some good things, but I only got the bad part.
Welcome to my world, dude.
And then immediately reported on it. And I was like, they were called savages for a reason. And then, but no, they had some, dude, hilarious. This was making me laugh. I knew you'd like it. These 4 white dudes got caught catching beavers. The beaver pelts were like, that was money back then.
True, yeah.
That was because in the colonies, they didn't really have that much currency. So, I mean, dudes would counterfeit like crazy.
It's really funny, too. When there's like no money, people are like, all right, well, forget about money. What else do we have? Like, we got all beaver pelts.
Fucking beavers are everywhere.
Like, all right, well, that's money now.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
Oddly enough, the chapter was called, well, it was about how if you counterfeited, back then it was a death penalty, which hasn't changed much.
Wow,
anyway.
you just a nation?
Anyway.
Excuse me.
Pardon me.
Well, it's actually policed by the secret society still. Or no, secret society, secret service.
What's that? Counterfeiting?
Freudian slip on my part. Yeah, the counterfeiting's, it's policed by the secret service. They're the ones following money. It's the president's bodyguards or something. They protect, they give their life for the bodyguard, and they also have to make sure nobody's printing funny money. That's the secret service's job.
They used to literally on bills say to counterfeit is death. Used to be printed on bills. Like, yeah, if you got caught counterfeiting, you were fucked. Like they would brand you or kill you.
As a you get branded as
you get branded. They used to get branded under their eyes, like right here.
Oh,
pretty sick.
Just to make sure, check.
Yeah, it would just say R for like rogue, if you were like a vagabond or a piece of shit, and then like M for murder, like all that shit.
Damn,
it sucks to get an R for rogue when, rapists.
Sure, what did they give people for rapists by R little a?
Yeah, it sucks.
It's like the periodic table. It's like R little a rapist, R rogue.
But no,
being a rogue is sick.
Being a rogue is sick, but back then it wasn't. People hated them.
True, if you didn't follow the rules.
If you were just, because in the colonies there were like no rules.
Yeah.
So dudes would come from Europe that were criminals there. Just all you had to do back then was call yourself a different name. You could do it in a moment. You'd be like, I'm Tom. And then you go to another town.
Yeah.
And just counterfeit money there.
Well, it's also.
So they'd have to brand you. There was there wasn't an internet back then.
Yeah.
There was no databases.
That's what I'm saying.
They just have to do something. They'd like cut your ear off.
Well, yeah, your personal horizon ended at your town, and then a guy would come in and be like, yo, this is new money. You're like, they put new money out? And you're like, new money, bro.
Yeah.
You want it or not? And you're like,
give me that horse. Here's a bunch of new money.
You're like, well, I just ate a bug. I can't turn down this new money. And he's like, why does it look different? He's like, don't do the counterfeiting back then. The technology, what the fuck did they do? It was drawing.
There were plates. There were plates that they could.
So they stamped.
Counterfeit, yeah.
So they would get a money stamp.
Yes.
And then be like,
just stamp shit.
They could have just made T-shirts back then. They had no idea.
Printing T-shirts.
If they had like a print, like a money dollar bill.
There's your shirt.
Yeah, that's true. That's my tee. They could have just printed tees, dude. Be like, yo, you just want to wear a shirt with a dollar bill on it? Like, yeah, that's fine.
That would have been tight. The clothes back then sucked.
Yeah.
But so these 4 dudes were trespassing and collecting beaver pelts.
Sure.
Which, dude, beavers are huge.
Are they?
Yeah, I didn't know that. They get up to 90 pounds. They're fucking big dogs, dude.
Beavers are 90 fucking pounds?
Can get up to 90 pounds. At least back then. I'm sure they've been killed enough now that they're a little,
Sure, a little skimpy.
They're losing weight.
These are like the dinosaur days for beavers.
Beavers were 90 pounds. These dudes, and they would trick them. It's a sad way to kill them. I don't.
What would they do?
So they put like a trap in the water and put like female pheromones on it. Yeah. And when the beaver stood up at the top of the stick there was a clamp or something that drug it under the water.
How'd they get the female beaver pheromones? Do I even want to know?
You cut them out of them and
squeeze,
rub it on a stick.
So you have to you'd have to surgically remove you'd have to cut their pussies open.
Yeah, they'd be like, here's some, well, maybe that's how beaver came out.
True.
Now get some beaver. About it.
Think they took him for a spin?
They're eating bugs, dude. You don't think they're taking beaver puss for
By the way, a man just got charged in Delaware for having sex with molesting ponies. So
that is a tale as old as time.
Did you hear that story?
What happened?
There's a Delaware man. I think he's 32 years old. there was an so people are coming back and seeing the ponies like ankles would be kind of raw, and they're like, "What the hell? What's wrong with my pony?" And then this guy was going into barns and strapping the pony. He would like strap their legs down.
Yeah, you gotta get those back legs.
He'd have his way with them. Yeah, you don't want to get kicked.
Yeah.
So he was. I don't know what he was. I don't know if he was. They said molesting them, so I don't know if he was penetrating these ponies. I think he was just like oral, maybe. I don't know.
A guy, yeah, that was like my first joke.
What?
Guy in Pennsylvania was eating horse pussy. He got caught.
Was he?
And I was like, all you have to do is stand up and you're innocent. Like if you get caught eating pussy, like somebody has to, and you just stand up real quick. What psycho is going to be like,
you eating pussy?
You just eating that horse's pussy? Boom. Harrisburg Comedy Zone explodes every single time. Like that was in Perry County. They're like, whoo.
Well, it's topical too.
Yeah.
They're probably like, caught my cousin eating horse pussy the other day.
Everybody's been eating horse pussy. All right, hold on.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So these 4 dudes get captured by these Indians. They take them and they make them run the gauntlet. So that was one thing they would do when they would capture prisoners. A lot of these tribes would make you run a gauntlet like right away. So the whole town would come to the bank of this river with these 2 dudes they captured on canoes.
Yeah. And
one of them, by the way, Stark, in the Revolutionary War would come up with the term "live free or die." Pretty sick. Yeah. He was that. I mean, this is how small a world this was back then.
Shout out.
Oh yeah, true.
Shout out.
Lemaire, you missed it. God damn it, dude, you're fired. Would you doze off?
Huh?
Yeah, I fell asleep.
He's not paying attention.
He's paying attention. He couldn't know I was doing a physical. He doesn't know my comedy's verbal and physical, dude. Physical comedy, dude. Welcome to. So they did.
So the whole town comes
What's the gauntlet?
Gauntlet is where the townspeople, mostly young men, line up 2 rows and make you run the gauntlet.
Oh, and
they hit you with sticks and fuck with you the whole way.
I thought they were so you get caught by the Indians, they'd make you do a gauntlet.
Yeah, the Indians would make you run the gauntlet.
Did we have a gauntlet
as a prisoner? No,
I mean not we, but did fucking
did the good guys? Did the good guys have it?
Did the settlers have a fucking gauntlet?
No, I think they probably just
killed you.
Executed Indians, I'm sure.
So you had to run through.
Yeah, they handed you a stick that you had to hold, so you couldn't like block. You had to like hold a stick and run through a gauntlet, and they would all just hit you. Now they tried not to hurt you. They tried not to kill you. I mean, they just want to hurt you. They want to fuck you up. But the Indian who captured them, who was the chief of this tribe, told them some things to say. Yeah. In their language that would like make it easier on them, which actually translated to like, I could fuck up everybody in here. Hilarious. So the first guy ran through and was like, Tahini Gaba hop up to get on. Like he's just screaming
talking shit.
He had no idea.
And they're just fucking cradling the crossballs. It's like, what you?
The second guy came through and his chant was, I could fuck all the women here. Like while he's running through. And then he started getting hit hard enough that he started fighting the gauntlet. He dropped the stick and just started swinging. And they let him go. They were like, all right, hilarious. We're not going to hit him anymore.
Well, he's also probably crying, be like, I could fuck all the kids in here, please.
Just running through like,
please let me fuck
anybody here.
Please let me fuck all the girls in here, please, for the love of God.
So I was wrong on that part. The Indians were funny.
That's fucking
obviously
hilarious,
that guy
dude.
in the canoe was like, I'll hook you up.
Oh,
this is gonna make things a lot easier. Just yell, I'm gonna fuck all the women in here. Hilarious. That's just, I mean, that holds up today, that joke. That's a good bit.
It's pretty good.
That's a good bit by that Algonquin.
Oh, that's pretty fucking funny. How fun would it be to have a gauntlet too? This is the thing. Like
we did it in high school.
I know.
Gauntlet rules.
Yeah, this is what people do.
Yeah, it's an instinctive thing to make people run through a gauntlet
and just fuck them up.
Just slap them the whole way. But yeah, then they did get a little mean.
Yeah.
After that, so some of these tribes would have like you go cabin to cabin when you're getting indoctrinated, basically as tortured, like into being a prisoner. You get hazed, get hazed into it, which is like you go to this cabin, somebody will pluck a fingernail out. You go to the next cabin, someone will bite your finger off. Someone will just gnaw your finger off. One of the cabins was just one of the women just beat the shit out of you. You couldn't hit back. She just beat you as hard as she could the whole time.
Really?
Dude, it was...
Did they cut your finger off yet?
Eventually, yeah. This is usually... And then there's some cabins where it's just little kids and they stab you a little. Just light stabbings. Man. And then eventually, I think a lot of them would scalp you and then pour boiling water on where they just scalped you. Which... it's
hot, too. It's fresh off the fire,
yeah,
too.
And then just make you roll in like thorn bushes. They're just doing like really mean shit to people.
So you had to go get the aggro crap. This is global guts.
Oh, you got crushed. You got fucking crushed. But the Indians, a lot of these tribes. So that's another thing that is annoying. Obviously, I've said it 1,000 times. When people talk about Indians in America, they're always like the Indians, like it's one group. These are just, some northeastern woodland tribes I'm talking about here.
Exactly.
Obviously, it fluctuates.
Yeah.
But
read up if you don't know about them.
Some of the, they also they all like loved being able to take pain. That was like their big fucking thing. Like if you if your mom cried while giving birth to you, everybody in the tribe was like, you're a fucking fag.
Really?
Like that was that stayed with you. So even moms had to be like tough as fuck the whole time. Like wild shit. And
so it's possible. It's possible for women to give birth, not even just like
naturally.
Even just kind of like they complain?
Not allowed to complain, dude.
Crazy. So it's possible.
The tribes had some good ideas, dude.
I'm curious.
They had basically a quit you policy to women.
Like knock off.
Quit you bitching, dude. Or your kid's gay.
So it is possible to, maybe, it doesn't, you don't have to fucking harp on it forever. Oh, go on. Sorry, please. Totally unrelated.
Also, one that made me laugh was one of these Indians like recorded how British people acted when they got hurt, which was wah, wah. Like that's literally how, like when we scalp them, they just go wah, wah.
Me hair.
Oh, you got me hair then. Oh, no.
So that's where the powdered wigs came from. They would go to scalp you, the powdered wing would slide off, and you just be like, and just pop off.
I wonder if powdered wigs were treated like black ladies' weaves.
Were they getting a fight?
If you touch them,
they would get two guys get a fight in the Senate. There'd just be like pieces of powdered wig everywhere.
Anyway, so that was
that's funny.
It's been fun stuff reading up on that.
So the gauntlet, though. So at the end, after a guy bit your finger off,
I mean,
a woman dominatrixed you, and then a little kid fucking needled you. What would happen? They would just be like, oh, like a roller coaster. Like, here's our impression of you being a pussy about this.
Pretty much. But there was also examples of dudes getting tortured and like laughing and making fun of the Indians, at which point a lot of the Indians would kind of like let them live.
Like you roll.
Be like, yo, you're tough. Or another thing they would adopt. They adopted a lot because a lot of these tribes were like sustenance farming and shit like that, where they didn't have a lot of manpower, especially at this point with the colonists there. So they would just take dudes in.
Yeah,
but like, you're one of us now.
Bite your finger off first.
Like, bite your finger off and be like, all right, you can stay. There was one guy got adopted and was like literally from that. Oh, dude, he got adopted by a dude slowly just because he obviously couldn't speak the fucking language. So he sat down and an old dude in a cabin started plucking his hair out. Like he likened it to like a bird, like a turkey, like just ripping the feathers out. This dude started ripping all his hair out and left a patch in the front. And he didn't realize it at the time, but he was giving him their haircut. That's how they cut hair. Barbershop in the tribe was rough, dude.
So he gave him the number 4 on the wall.
Yeah, he just ripped it straight out. Just an old dude ripping your hair out. And then the chief came in and was like, you're one of us now. And he was like, literally from that day, no one in that tribe treated me remotely different. Like all it took was the chief being like, he's one of us. And everyone was like, sup?
Sup, bro?
That was it.
Well, dude, also, too, it's like, I was trying to be like, well, could I be friends with people who bit my finger off and had their wife beat me up and yelled at me? It's like, imagine where they're like, all right, dude, we're going to let you loose. Now my other option is to live in the woods.
Yeah.
And first, just doing that alone without people who are going to bite my finger off and imprison me.
Yeah.
Just if there's anybody, they could be so mean to me and be like, no, but you're still part of the thing. I'd be like, thank you. Just thanks for not letting me fucking starve to death next to a creek.
One guy got adopted and he was like a slave and he was doing like farm work. And eventually he like threw his hoe into the river and was like, this is for women. And all the Indians were like, sick, this guy's awesome. We're gonna let him free. So the Indians did have cool fucking codes. He risked his life to be like, this is chick work.
This is girl work.
They were like, you're right, that's chick work, dude. Go home.
You passed the test.
Yeah. And also that
would be sick at the Last Samurai, the final test, and be like, this is fucking gay. And they're like, congratulations.
This is gay, are you? You're free, are you? But they
too many minds. He's like, everything's fucking gay. Everything's fucking gay. They're like, yes, he's learning.
Yes, he's learning our ways.
That's fucking sick, dude.
The Indians
like, fucking girls.
Yeah, he threw his hoe into the river and they were all like, this is good.
Respect.
Very good.
He learns. There had to have been white guys out there that bit other white guys' fingers eventually.
Came home and started biting fingers.
No, I'm saying like,
fuck are you doing, dude? Like it's how you become a tribe. Biting fingers off that's like the third or fourth reference they've made to it. So
Sebastian Younger left that out.
Safe to say that some of the natives were munching fingers hard.
For sure.
Gnawing your finger off.
Just an old gotcha. Just like, let me see your finger. Close your eyes. Bite your finger off. Like,
Gotcha. Got your finger.
Oh, man. No, I'm saying I wondered if any settlers joined. Because a lot of those dudes stayed with the tribes. Even people who ran away from settlements, they stayed with the tribe. I wonder if there had to have been someone who bit someone like John Smith's third cousin. Definitely probably bit someone's finger off. Yeah,
I'm sure. If you hang around that culture long enough, you're gonna nibble a finger.
Well, it's also funny too. Like if so, like they have adopted like European dudes. So you're just like running. You're in the gauntlet. All of a sudden, you come to the next tent with a white dude in it, and you're like, dude,
you gotta
this
help
shit's
me.
fucked up.
He's
like,
yeah.
Ah!
He's like, I know it's fucking. Let me see your hand real quick. It's crazy. He holds up it. He's like, me too. But yeah, then they also Robert Rogers, who the book's about, wrote down that he was like, there's also literally zero wealth disparity. Like everybody is the exact, like you're not allowed to do anything if your neighbor's poor.
Can't.
You got to help them.
Yeah.
Which, good quality.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's easy to be that when you guys are all living in fucking tents though.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's
pretty easy to be spreading the wealth when there's zero wealth.
Yeah. Or it was also really physical back then too. Like you would be like, there wasn't like like Bitcoins and fiat currency. It was like, you have 6 goats, some guy has 2, and you're like, here, dude, have 2 fucking goats. Or whatever. It's like, here, bro, have a fucking pelt.
Yeah, so they did have good shit.
I think they used to also do a thing where whoever had the most stuff would burn all their shit. Well, it was they had little, I forget who it was, but they'd have a thing where like the dude at the top was ceremonially would just like get rid of all of his shit.
That's like Bill Gates giving to charity.
True.
It's pretty much what we do.
Yeah, they would back then. The Native Americans would give away like a large proceeding of all the stuff they had. Then
I have an audiobook in this thing called Fantasyland, where it's about like this guy's ideas that America is based off of people who are prone to believing in fantasy, basically being like we're a nation of like utter suckers who are led purely by fantasy. And I'm listening to this guy's book. It just sounds like really snobbish so far. Or he'll talk about like the original people from England and be like, there was like, the population was growing faster than the economy. So there was like all these people who were getting rounded up and sent over here, and they were getting huckstered on a dream, and there was no gold here. And it's like,
what is shitty revelation this guy's trying to expose?
So far I'm just kind of like, dude, this is a stretch. Cause it's like, it's easy to sit here now and be like, these guys thought there was gold. And it's like, okay, books just came out. What was it, like 1440?
Yeah.
That was the first book.
1440, the first book came out.
Gutenberg Press. So then it's like,
I thought you said 1940, and I was like, holy shit.
No,
dude.
1440. I thought it was like 1700s till I checked it this morning. 1440,
Whoa.
The books come out. And then it's like, in England, for hundreds of years, it was like, there was one book for every like 25,000 people. So like if you were a dude in England in 1600s and you had no job, you were just like a fucking stray cat. You were just sit there somewhere, eat, and then just stare at a wall. And then some guy would be like, yo, there's a whole other country with gold and stuff. You want to come on a boat? You'd be like, yeah, fucking sure. Why not? And this guy's like, these suckers.
You got to go to Jamestown.
Suckered. Yeah, and it's like, dude, these guys were like sitting. Imagine being in your parents' basement forever. And they didn't even have a basement. You were just in the first floor. Your mom was just like,
one room. And your parents are fucking every day in front of you. You're just sitting there.
And some guy's like, yo, you want to go fucking and get gold?
You want to go build a fort in Virginia?
That is, when people talk about 400 years ago, it's the most annoying thing. It's like acting like they actually crashed. He was like saying how like Columbus thought he was in Japan. He's like, and he hit the Bahamas. And it's like, dude, of course you hit the fucking Bahamas, man. What would you have done? I hate when people get all high and mighty about that shit. And to think about, like, you come here, you don't even know this landmass exists, and now you see different people for the first time, and it's like, and they just treat it, and it's like, dude, you're in like a fucking video game.
Yeah.
They got like sharp sticks, and you're like, yo, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. And they start getting loud, and you're like, all right, I'm busting out musket, dude. I don't even know you guys. I hate that when they're just like, and then they do this fantasy of gold and they ruin these people, and it's like, that stance on history.
You know what else is
pisses me
weird
the fuck
about
off.
that is Columbus wrote in his journal that these people would make fine slaves when he landed. Mm-hmm. That was just in his journal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's his personal thoughts, bro.
I mean, of course he ended up cutting people's ears off and shit and genociding, but,
Yeah.
you know.
That was his first impression. Like, these would be good
These would be
slaves.
pretty good slaves.
So-
He just kept it. He was like,
Well, that's-
just kept
yeah.
it to himself.
That's his own
'Cause
personal
that's
thought.
1492.
I mean, if you check my journal, dude, there's a couple of, I've seen people before. I'm like, you know what?
that's a fine slave, dude. That would be a great slave. I don't want to get too racist. Never mind. I'm not going to name good slaves.
Yeah, but it's like,
Who do you think the best slave possibly would be?
I'm saying, man, you go over there and you discover Native Americans for the first time, and they're fucking running all fast, bare feet. You're like, damn, bro.
Yeah, that's a good slave, dude.
Give that
Tie
motherfucker
a
a
couple-
wheelbarrow, bro.
Yeah.
That guy would fly.
Tie some stones to his back, let him run around.
Give that guy, like, you see guys with fucking, I mean, they had tomahawks.
Yeah.
They're fucking chopping down trees for arrows. You're like, put him on a fucking apple orchard. This motherfucker would be picking, he'd be killing it. I just hate when people put a modern mentality on the 1600s. It's like, dude, you have no fucking idea.
Yeah, of course. I gotta let you read that book, dude.
What
War
book's
on the
that?
Run, dude.
What's that about?
It's about. I read it a while ago, and then I started reading it again. It's about Robert Rogers. He was he was like the first Army Ranger. He was like he was like the precursor to Special Forces
That's
in modern
fucking
military,
awesome,
and he
dude.
lived in pre-French and Indian War America in like Vermont, New England, and I've talked about it a bunch of times on his.
What's he do? What's
the
his
savages would come in and kill everybody in his town.
Oh, didn't he take up with the savages?
Then he kind of took up with the savages. Like he was raised alongside a tribe with his town.
Yeah, yeah.
So he
studied
knew
their
the
moves.
land. He knew the land, and he knew modern war was going to be different than standing in line. So he formed kind of like a special forces where they could travel long distances.
So he's the reason our
Small
Navy SEALs
parties.
are so sneaky, basically.
They still study his maneuvers to this
Shit,
day.
dude. That's tight.
Yeah, but the first couple of chapters are all about like landing in America.
And it's being like,
And, like,
holy shit.
His family and another family, they're Scots Irish, and they're like, we can try to make our own outside of this village. Let's try to. They formed clans. They joined families with another family and bought like 600 acres for like 11 pounds
In America?
Yeah,
Who'd they buy it off?
it was British.
Whatever bull was chilling.
Yeah, but then it was kind of like you said, like they would let the white trash kind of be a buffer.
Yeah.
So his family was a white trash buffer,
And they'd be like, go ahead, bro.
and they're like, you can have that land if you can settle it.
Damn.
And then up until Thomas Jefferson, nobody had really gone west of, like America hadn't really expanded at all.
Where'd TJ go?
The Louisiana Purchase,
That was TJ.
he got all that shit, yeah.
Like
And
to see a
he
couple
led.
pages of his. I like to see a couple pages of his journal, dude.
He led. He was the one who founded the Lewis and Clark expedition.
Yeah.
So the first two presidents were just like, we don't even know about the Pacific Ocean. They're like, we're not going over there.
Well, that was the other thing.
We're not heading over there.
They were saying that
Probably knew about it.
He was like kind of like scoffing at the fact that like when they got there, the Native Americans were like, there's like a big sea if you go like 7 days walk from here, and dude, the language barrier is unimaginable. And they're like, and this guy actually thought like the South Indian Ocean was like 7 days away, and it's like, dude, fuck you. Let me drop you off in the woods, dude, on a state game. See how you make it out. Someone's like, yo, it's that way. You'd be like, thank you. And
Let's
you-
drop you off in Strawberry Mansion, dude,
yeah, I just
if you get out of
that chaps my ass.
without getting burnt at the stake.
That's the ultimate armchair quarterback to be like, and he crashed into the little wrong landmass on his sailboat.
Looking at history?
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
being like, clearly these guys are. He was saying like the people who weren't suckers stayed in England. And it's like, yeah, it's more than being a sucker, dude. It's like these people were poor as fuck,
Yeah.
and they didn't have any other choice really. And a lot of them were indentured servants too. So it's like, yeah, it's
This
a
guy sounds
bullshit,
like a dildo.
bullshit thesis. And I've had people tell me like, "Oh, this is really good," and I'm reading it. And I'm like, I can't fuck with this guy, dude.
You know what? It's a weird thing that I've always been bothered by is like in this country, if you want, like everybody always prefaces things like this is America, and in America we love an underdog, or like in America we love it. It's like first of all, everyone loves a fucking underdog, and stop talking about this country
Yeah,
as though you've traveled the world.
I know.
It always bothers me when people are like this is a racist country.
Oh,
It's
dude.
like, have you traveled, dude? Why
Have
don't
you
you
go-
ask Sudan if they're racist?
Have you gone anywhere, dude? Have you even read to find out, like, that's the other thing, too. And they're like, this country's founded on racism. And it's like, dude, read about there's been so many other genocides all over the world for the same thing. Have been like, yeah, you guys are the other guy. Fuck
Yeah.
you guys. That's so fucking annoying.
We're spinning our wheels.
This
I think
country's
we cover
founded
the
on
same
white
shit
supremacy.
Yeah. They're like,
So that's like, you see people in Western PA, their grandfathers fucked up some Indians, dude. Not long ago either, dude. I'm talking
No.
like 1920.
no, more
Well,
than that.
whatever.
In Pennsylvania.
1800s.
Yeah.
Went and bucked up some Indians, dude.
It was longer than that in PA.
Whatever
PA
it was.
got settled a long time ago.
But that was the boys who came in. They were just buffering them around. Whenever Indians were like in Ohio,
You got to clear out some Indians, though.
you
I'm
got
alright with clearing out.
Yeah, but you got to use the absolute. People were doing the do
Look,
back
I'm gonna
then.
say this,
People
of all
that was
the-
a Mountain Dew commercial
That
back
was.
then.
Of all the horrific genocides in human history, I can handle the Native Americans
Can you?
getting brushed off the land.
You like
dude.
that one?
I'm all right with that one.
Okay.
Bunch of dudes with Mountain Dew coming up and be like, get these fucking pieces of shit off this land.
That must have been wild, dude.
Well, it's funny. It's such a weird double standard to have. I mean, I get it if you are like, I can't believe America did this.
Yeah.
If you don't know history at all,
Well,
and you
the
think
people,
America is such a nice, it's like you can't have a nice empire.
Yeah, well, you don't. Yeah, you don't meet Turks and be like evil bastard.
No, of course not.
They genocided the Armenians.
You get
That's the show, The Young
every
Turks.
country.
Yeah, that's
Every
true.
country genocided somebody.
It's true.
like, and another thing with the Indians is like, how do you think they got that land?
Yeah,
They genocided some other fucking tribe.
they definitely did.
They were at war with each other constantly.
Forever, dude. It's
Yeah.
always been that way.
And they weren't like sophisticated, nice people.
Yeah.
I've done this like so many times.
But no, it
It's
is-
just, it's such a funny, like if you look at history at all
Yeah.
and if you look at history with like rose glasses
Mm-hmm.
where you're like, America's this beautiful place. It's like, obviously you're wrong.
Yeah.
So when people bring up like the atrocities committed against Native Americans, it's like, yeah, I mean, this is shocking when I was in 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an adult now.
In 7th grade, they fed me the cornucopia story where like they split a turkey and they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Hey,
yeah.
let's teach you some
I know.
skills."
And then later you find out it's like, oh shit,
You're
we
like-
killed all those guys.
And then after for dessert, dude, they were like,
They're
"Yeah,
like,
well,
yo, you want some Mountain Dew? It's got smallpox. That's how they actually killed
They
him.
gave him some
They gave him
Dew.
some Code Red, and the natives were like, they fucking died.
they didn't have an Xbox anywhere." And they're like, "I don't know what the fuck to do."
But yeah, it's funny to think about. Like people just showed up and were like, this is pretty nice land.
Well, dude, when you read that
Who
book,
the fuck are these idiots?
when you
Get
re-
them out of here.
When you read White Trash, it was like the English government was just rounding up the poorest of fucking shitty, like literally taking orphans.
Do you
and
have
being,
that in hard copy?
No.
God
Yeah,
damn
my
it.
brother has that. Yeah, my
All
brother
right,
has
good.
That's
I need
great.
one. I need one.
Dude, that's great. So they would round up orphans and then just put them on a boat and be like, over. So, like, you'd have these people who were just like absolute mud kickers, dude, landed in America. And then they're just like, all right, I guess I'm here now. Arrow goes through your wife's neck and they rape 30 people. And you're, who the fuck are these guys?
You gotta fight
And
'em.
that's what happened, dude. That's the Thomas Sowell guy talks about this. And it makes a lot of sense when people talk about slavery, whether you're dealing with slavery in the abstract or you were living during that time. When people were like, they get mad at Lincoln being like, well, when he freed the slaves, he was kind of cold and calculated. He should have been more moralistic about it. And it's
Yeah.
like, you can say that now, but it's like if you were the president, imagine if you were the president back then. Like if these people there was millions of slaves in the South. So they were really worried about like, if you free them, are they going to come fuck you up and kill you?
Yeah.
Like the Thomas Jefferson has a famous quote of being like, you had the wolf by the ears, dude. He's like, what do? Do you fucking let it go? They got, some guy wrote a love story between him and his like teenage slave, and it got a lot of negative press, dude.
Yeah, I bet it
They
did.
got a lot of negative
Well, I
press.
bet they were eating some pizza too.
They,
He
yeah,
might have Pizzagate
they're
some
like he's a
slaves.
rapist and blah blah blah, and the guy wrote the story like a love story basically, and that's
You brought up an interesting point when we were talking about this book earlier about how I keep wanting to say Sowell, Thomas
Sowell, yeah. It's Sowell,
yeah. How he talked about how like they also the Western Europeans also abolished slavery.
They did.
Like this,
No one talks about that.
This is an institution that it built the pyramids.
Yeah,
This is an institution that's been around since as long as humans were even remotely civilized.
yeah.
They've had caste systems and slavery, and then it led up in human history. It took the great white man to say, "Knock it off."
It was the English, dude.
Yeah.
Even the French were like, nah, slavery's still chill. And then they finally folded. Yeah, dude.
I think it was like the Portuguese were the last ones.
Yep.
I think in Brazil
Brazil
it was
was
still going.
Yep. But then there was
the US and Brazil.
there was the
were-
Arabs in Asia, man, and they
They're
were
still
still
going.
rocking in the free
They're
world.
still going.
They got stamped out hard though, and then they would fly French flags, and the British government wasted millions of pounds on abolishing slavery worldwide. So it's
How
like,
about
yeah,
that?
I
What do
know.
you think of that?
They were the biggest slave exporter too. That's like, dude,
While they also kind of enslaved the Irish people.
that's true too.
The Irish were slaves.
Well, dude,
too,
that
should be the name of our podcast.
The Irish slaves.
The Irish were slaves.
Well, dude, the Stormy Daniels issue with like Trump's.
Every time we talk about this, I'm like, God damn, I'm going to hear this later and be
That's
like, we
fine.
sound like retards.
No, this is the conclusion I've reached though, because it's like you have like the Stormy Daniels thing to where now they're being like they can't like what the fuck how are they trying to put this? They're like she still deserves respect, right? As a prostitute, and it's like
As a slut.
as a porn star,
As a sex worker
She was a
slut.
exactly. So it's like I can like it's you can think about it however you want because it's like I
Still
get that,
respect
and it's like
sluts. I respect sluts.
I do. It's like that makes sense, but at the same time, it's like yeah, she deserves respect. However, if you're in a room with a prostitute, you leave your wallet on the nightstand, you take a piss and come back and like oh shit, and you fan through your bills to make sure they're there, totally warranted as well. So it's like everything has a
What
double
does that have to
nature.
do with...
Because it's like they're being like if saying like, well, you know, why are we taking her testimony seriously? She's a fucking prostitute.
Where's Stormy Daniels coming out of?
They're the lawyers now. It's pushing being
We
like
were just talking about slavery.
because this is my thing where it's like how there's just a double edged thing to everything. How you can just be like you can pull out stories and focus it towards like, and then Thomas Jefferson did this, and it's like, dude,
So you're saying
that's
like,
fucked up. But then
slavery was warranted.
no, I'm just saying it depends on how broad or narrow you put your telescope, dude. Because then it's like Stormy Daniels. It's the same thing now, where people are like, she deserves respect, and they're like, well, how much can we really take her testimony serious? She's a fucking whore.
Oh, that's a little strong.
Yeah, but she's a criminal basically. So when you're, you know, it's
What?
it's like taking a cop.
She was a porn star.
She's a fucking prostitute. He was paying her to fuck him.
That's whatever.
Porn stars are hookers. They go around on the fucking
I
circuit.
understand, but it's like you can't fucking. That's crazy to be like.
You
How
take
can we
cops-
take her testimony
You
seriously?
take
She's a
cops'
whore.
testimony like more seriously than a civilian. So it makes sense. And if you get caught committing,
I don't.
If you get caught committing felonies and
Fuck
shit,
the police.
if you're like
dude.
a CI, a lot of times that gets thrown out because you're a criminal and they're in court and they're like, well, we're not. This person's a fucking like 6-time felon. They could have ulterior motives. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So like it also it's like yeah, you should respect people's humanity, but also if you're a prostitute, I got a different scope on you, dude. You know what I mean? Like if you're around my wallet, I'm kind of like, where the fuck's my wallet at?
You think Stormy's gonna snatch your wallet?
She could.
Steal $5 from you?
She's gonna steal a fucking double sol out
She's
of my
gonna get a
wallet.
fin out of you.
Yeah, dude.
No, I'm just thinking.
But
in my
it's
head,
annoying because if you point out, like you were saying, the fact that, like, yeah, well, you know, white people did it. That's the guy's soul being like, no one talks about the fact that it was Western Europeans stopped slavery globally,
Yeah.
and it's like,
It's a pretty good
but to
thing.
say that is like, how dare you?
Why would you say that?
It's like, hey, we were bad boys and we were good boys, dude.
Yeah. of all
Everybody was bad
the-
boys.
if you want to break it down like a psycho into races and geography,
Mm-hmm.
of all the areas in the world that were bad boys throughout human history, which they all were,
Yeah.
the one that was like, we should knock this off. Mm-hmm. Was the fucking British, wasn't it?
Yeah. But that goes on, dude. That's at any time. Like it happened with
I'm just back to thinking about white trash kicking Indians off the land. It's making me because I'm just thinking everybody looked like my cousin Frankie.
Well, everyone it's funny that everyone thinks like quote unquote white people were just like a race of like just pure conquistadors who came over here and like, shoo, you fucking beast. And it was just this guy being like looking through one eye and like, what the hell's that?
Yeah, it was like in The Revenant. It was like Tom Hardy in The Revenant. It was like this balding, like flea infested dipshit fighting a shirtless fucking Indian.
I mean, dude, it's really like, did you ever when you were little trap like 2 bugs under a glass and watch them fight?
Yeah.
Pretty much what it's like, dude. You're like a spider and
you
a
were like
bee,
the
and you're just
British.
like, there you
Yeah,
go.
the British captured 2 retards, put them in a jar, and was like, whoever wins, we're going to take over.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking wild.
Yeah, Black Panther. The one point, I was watching it and I was like, all right, whatever. And then at the very end, when King Killmonger,
I didn't even want to tell you about him,
Dude.
because I was like, you were like, what do they do? They bark. I'm like, yeah, Shane, they bark. I'm not even going to tell you about this.
yeah, King Killmonger was I mean, the storyline could have been sick. I don't know.
It was the most intricate storyline of a
They
Marvel
had some
movie
blood
ever.
in there and some violence. I know they wouldn't have made $1 billion if they included
How about the
that.
girls like fighting their boyfriends and
The girls versus the men part was a little fucking lame.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch Timothy Chalamet or whatever get fucking butt pounded by Armie Hammer than watch that shit again. I'd rather watch Timothy come into a fucking peach and watch old Armie eat it.
Oh my god!
Which is fucking insane that they put that on. That was just fucking insane. But the very end when he's like Killmonger got stabbed.
Yeah, I saw that.
And,
oh wait,
and he's like,
Killmonger's
the bad guy.
I was thinking of the other guys who live in the cold.
No, I like those guys.
That's what was making
The
me
gorilla
laugh.
big
When
dudes.
you asked me,
Yeah.
I was like, wait, they were like barking at those guys. I was on one episode. I was like, yeah, Shane.
Oh,
they
yeah,
were
you
they
didn't
were
wanna-
they were barking. They
you
were
didn't wanna
making.
give me the gorilla
Yeah,
noise?
yeah. I
You
was
didn't
like,
want to give me that.
I was like, yeah,
information?
Shane. They were barking like dogs. Anyway,
Yeah, that made me laugh when
I
I
saw that and I was like, what the fuck?
When
are
I
they
saw
doing?
their village, I was like, yes. Yeah, hilarious.
Wait, so Killmonger was
Yeah, he's
Michael
like,
B. Jordan.
He's like, yeah, we can get you help. And he's like, nah.
I'd rather die.
He's like, I'd rather die just like my ancestors who jumped off the boats rather than
Yeah.
live a life of servitude.
Yeah,
And I was just like, why? Come on, dude.
yeah.
Like, I'm trying, come on, dude. I'm watching a fucking comic book movie.
Yeah,
You
come
toss slavery at me? You cocksuckers.
Yeah, that was pretty bizarre. And I mean, it's like, you know, it'd be funny if like there was just like that white pilot in there, be like, yeah, you know, the Nigerians had a pretty good slave trade going on there for a while. And
Yeah,
they're like,
yeah. He's like, you know, the Irish were slaves too, right? They're like, oh, oh, oh. He's like, yeah, that's usually what happens.
That's always whenever I see that, I'm like, yeah, you know, totally, you know, that's white people's fault. But it was a conspiracy of many doing that. And it's like, I don't know, that's just an age-old thing, but it's kind of like, I'd rather die. And it's like, yeah, man, it's cool. I'm glad, you know, I'd like to think I'd jump off of a slave ship too, but I probably
you
wouldn't.
wouldn't.
I probably fucking wouldn't, dude.
Hell no.
I'm not gonna get eaten by a shark. I'd be on there like, I'm gonna get out of here. This will probably be a couple years or so, and I'll be gone.
Oh man, to jump off a slave ship, you'd have to be. That'd be fucking to just die at sea. That sucks.
True that.
I'd be fucking Django, dude. I'd be fucking Shango
Yeah,
unchained.
but you gotta get freed. You gotta get freed. If I
I'll
was
get
sitting there,
fucking free.
I mean, if I was sitting there just like shit, and like you're like packed against you're packed against everyone. You're just like in your own shit and piss. You can't wear your manhood, dude. They fucking take
They
that off.
strip
you.
your manhood.
Strip your manhood. It's just like you're like.
Well, you wouldn't need a manhood if you were from Africa.
It depends. Some of some
Not a lot of circed bulls.
not until the fucking
sub-Saharan.
Muslims. Yeah, that's true.
Sub-Saharan.
True.
Huh?
Muslims came in and started.
Let's
cutting
talk
birds.
slaves.
You want to talk slaves?
We already covered gay bullshit. Let's cover some slavery.
What you want to talk about?
What do you think of slaves, dude?
Not for me.
Not for me either.
Not for me, dude.
Couldn't agree
I don't
more.
want. I don't want them.
I would hate
That would be awkward as fuck if just someone showed up at your house with a slave and you'd be like, dude, what the fuck? You can't have a fucking slave. Like, get out of here, dude. You can't have a slave in here. It's like, oh, come on, dude. What the fuck? I'll be so uptight. Like, dude, you can't have
like
slaves.
a southern dude bringing a slave to
Just
like
someone came.
like during the I bet that had to have happened
Oh, no doubt.
in like the Civil War time, like right when the North was like abolitionists, no
Mm-hmm.
more slavery.
There's still people who are just like, fuck it, you can't tell me not to have a slave. And they had a
Yeah,
couple,
yeah,
they had like
yeah.
a little head stash. They're like,
Yeah.
I got a couple fucking kicking around.
I got some guys back there. They have fun. What am I gonna do?
Dude, when I first started, when I was 17, I remember when I was working for a pool company when I was 17, I remember when at least to my view, when it was like Mexicans just came out on the scene. And I was working for this pool guy and his brother was talking to him being like, yo, this Mexican guy's right next to him. He was talking about him like he was his slave. He's like, you got to get you one of these, man. I got a Mexican. Psh, these Mexicans are great. And he'd be like, I'll let you use my Mexican for the day. And would talk about him like he was a fucking slave.
While he was standing there,
Standing right fucking next to him. I was 17 years old. I remember the three of us had to pave. We had to do asphalt, a whole big driveway. And he's like, I'll take my Mexican for the day. So I'm telling you, bud, you need to get rid of these guys. Get you some of these. I was just sitting there like, what the fuck? You would
Holy
have thought
shit.
it was his. It was just standing next to him. He's like, go with him. It was his fucking slave.
holy shit, that's a
was
fucking
paying him.
fucked up story.
I was getting $7 an hour. He
Yeah.
was probably giving his Mexican $4 an hour. Dude.
Yeah.
Giving him nothing.
Yeah,
And we had a fucking paving doing asphalt sucks.
that's a good lad.
He was the first lad, dude. He was a fucking Gen 1
First,
lad.
he was the fucking
He was ladded for Columbus, dude.
Kunta Kinte. Columbus.
But yeah, I remember this guy. I remember being like, damn, this guy's talking about this Mexican dude like it's his slave.
Lad Armstrong. That's Lance Armstrong. That doesn't make sense. Lad Armstrong landed on the fucking moon, dude.
Dude, I mean, this guy was getting. I mean, maybe he felt good about getting talked up all
Laddie
day.
Robinson.
He was the first.
He was the first lad, dude.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man.
You're right though. I don't remember lads being around when I was younger.
I'm telling you,
I think that's because when we were young, we still had Polacks.
What do you think?
Still
Polacks
had like
were the
Eastern
OG
Europeans were the lads.
lads? We had some like
I'm talking like
stuff.
70s. Not that we were young during that.
I think they were more out west.
70s, 80s. I think we had like you used shitty workers like Polacks.
Yeah,
You used Eastern Bloc fucking newly.
I could see that. Yeah,
And then 80s, 90s. I think the lads made a good run.
yeah, man. Lads,
They fucking scurried around.
I mean, they're
up
like
there.
the Irish in some respects, where they're like they came in here and they're just like working, dude. 40 years.
Next thing you know, we're gonna have a lad president. They've got Taco Bell going.
TB.
They got T-Bell flying
T-Bell,
off
dude.
the shelf, dude.
I don't think. Do a lot of Mexicans eat at Taco Bell?
No,
I don't think they.
no, of course not.
I think it's just high white people.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely some black people.
Dude,
who
I
eat
haven't had Taco Bell in forever. I bet that shit's so good.
I can feel those soft tacos in my mouth right now. Like, dude, they were delicious.
They're fucking
They make you
great.
shit right away. My uncle still eats a Taco Bell pretty regularly. He's like, you can't beat it. There's for the money. It's like it's the cheapest food. you
he
can
tries to
get.
logistically, he tries to like real honestly be like, honestly, you cannot beat Taco Bell. It's like, yeah, you can, dude.
Yeah, go to anywhere.
Go to fucking 7-Eleven.
It is fucking good though.
All right.
What up?
What are we at? 50.